Have you ever had a situation with your team where there's some type of behavior going on that isn't productive? In fact, it's cutting into the productivity of other people on the team, and it's happening, maybe being led by one person, but there are a few others getting involved in it. And you know that it's happening, but you're just not doing anything about it because you figure, they're going to figure it out. And yet they don't. And now other people on the team are coming to you saying, this has to stop. You know what? I think maybe we should just get rid of this person because, this is costing us a lot in productivity and the disruption, et cetera, et cetera. If you ever have, then let me assure you that first off, you need to look at the person that, the leaders on your team, for example, one of your supervisors is suggesting you get rid of. Is that person good for the job that he or she has been hired to do? So then what's going on that there's this behavior, unacceptable behavior taking place, that it was never nipped in the bud? We tolerate so much. We're so afraid to make our workplaces militant, instead of an agreeable place to be, a fun place to be. It's not supposed to be Disneyland, right? But at the same time, you don't want to cut it back so that these people can't visit, for example, during the day. But is visiting about television shows or clothing sales during the day one of the productive conversations you want them to be having? Remember, it's interrupting a supervisor or a project manager, that sort of thing, and they're getting frustrated. So I was working with this exact scenario with one of my clients this week. And what came of it was the owner of the company knew bloody well, as I would say, that he has allowed it to go on for too long. Why? Well, because this person is nice. She's actually the receptionist who's doing all this visiting with other people. And in fact, what's been coming down from one of his project managers is that at the end of it, right down to the source, the root, what is the issue with him being so upset is because he is so busy. And then these people are visiting in the area where he can hear them. Okay, so the project manager would like to see this person replaced. The owner of the company knows that from all the feedback he gets from customers and everybody else phoning in, that she is perfect for this position that she has. Receptionist. She loves to visit with people. She makes people feel welcomed and heard and comfortable and valued. So yes, she's a great person for that position. So how do we deal with the situation? Well, what my client was suggesting that he would, get the courage together to do is talk to her and tell her that can't happen anymore. She can't be having these chit chats. She can't be interrupting people with chit chatting around them. But how is she going to receive that? You can't do what you do. So when we were talking, I probably saw the source of the problem. She has one young child. She has a husband who works away a lot. So she's using her workplace for her social activity. So she's just meeting her social need by visiting with her colleagues, and they get along really well. Okay, well, we don't want to stop the conversation completely. And my client says, I don't want this to be, run like the military. I don't even know what that's run like, but I don't want it to be run like that. I want it to be a pleasant place for people to want to come to work. And I get that. So what I suggested he do, instead of saying that can't happen anymore, I suggested he bring it to her attention, explain what the problem is for the other people in the office because of the layout of the territory, of the environment. Then everybody can hear it and it distracts everybody. So what I suggested is that he give her a solution. He give her another behavior to follow as opposed to the behavior that's happening right now. So he doesn't want to say you can't have, idle chit chat visits throughout the day. He recognizes that at times, yes, there are probably too many. He can address that. But one of the things that he came up with himself, and I suggested he offer that to her, is, why don't you and this other person, who they seem to get along the best, why don't you two take lunch together? Why don't you, eat together in the lunchroom, and you can do your visiting then? And if there's something that you want to visit about throughout the day, how about if you go into the boardroom and close the door so that when you're closing the door, no one else can hear it? And I know that when she receives this, request, this advice to have her conversations in a way that will not distract other people in the environment, that it's going to bring it to mind for her. Yeah, I shouldn't be visiting this much. So is he going to be able to say, maybe you need to meet your social need outside of work? No, not at all. But with him knowing that that's probably what it is with her, how, she has a toddler, and her husband works away a lot, so she's alone a lot. He has more compassion for her situation, but that doesn't mean that he has to accept all this visiting and chit-chatting going on in the work environment that is distracting other people and causing other people to be really upset because they're so busy and she's not so busy. So there are ways of helping people change their behavior in your workplace without telling them what to stop doing. Okay, so that's the biggest thing here is, what is the behavior you would like from them? Give them options. Because when someone hears, don't do that anymore, they're not open to finding the solution, the options for the solution all by themselves. They've just shut down. They've just gotten into trouble, and so they shut down. And they're not happy with you and maybe the workplace, and maybe they'll want to change jobs. She's perfect for the position, and the owner of the company thinks she's fabulous. But the project manager who doesn't think she's fabulous, well, you know what? He's actually more valuable to the company, and he's a wonderful, wonderful person. He's got the company first and foremost. So he's fabulous for his position as well. But there is a way for us all to get along in the workplace. And the big one is, don't tell her what she's doing wrong. Offer her suggestions for how she can do what she's doing, because it's a need, but in a way that's respectful to everyone and to the company. And I just know that when this is brought to her attention, she's going to realize that, yeah, you know what? I'm talking too much personal stuff on work time. I really have to, bring that to a minimum. But I'm not being scolded, reprimanded for that. I'm being asked to take my chit chat that is disrupting other people behind closed doors so that it's not bothering anybody. So do you get it? When there's a behavior happening in your company that you don't like, or on your team that you don't like, have some compassion. Try to understand what it is that might be going on for them. And instead of telling them, stop, don't do that anymore, offer them an alternative for a way that they can do it that is beneficial to everybody. I know that we have this problem in pretty much every team out there in the workplace. I dealt with this problem many years ago when I was an office manager. It happened, and yes, it would bother me. And so I learned to just make sure that I was taking my lunch breaks. And if I wasn't, then I would know, I could feel, oh my God, this is bothering me more and more. Why? Because I was stressed. And that's the same situation with this project manager. So take your lunch breaks, everybody. And if you are really feeling, angst about what's going on with other people, I'll bet you that you're just extra stressed. But at the same time, yes, there's a whole lot of visiting that goes on in the workplace that shouldn't, because you're being paid, or you're paying for work time. And you've got your breaks, coffee breaks, lunch break. That's the time to do the visiting, right? But at the same time, my client doesn't want his business to be, so strict and so militant and cold No, he wants people to feel good there, and he wants people to be friendly with everybody. And in order to do that, we can't cut out all the idle chit-chat. But if it's disrupting other people, don't tell them to stop. Give them solutions for how they can have their idle chit-chat without distracting others. So this is Lynn Jacob of MLJinternational.com. And if you are having challenges with your team, let's talk, and I'll see if I can help.